Okay, hey, trading clients every day. This is marijuana resume number 2 here. Now, again, it doesn't really seem practical, but there's a way to psychologically platform everything. One, firstly, no, the circumstances of what I deal with right now kind of don't necessarily make that a conducive environment for me right now. Yeah. Well, that is to be said if you know the numbers. 3 years of probation, not being able to do it, and hey, I'm not you. I'm not the person that might be listening to this or watching this, and I always assume that somebody's always watching at all times. Not always that, but generals in general. So that's why I said a lot of this, when I was doing those videos, I was talking about time systems, I was talking about NPK charts, I was talking about quality assurance, I was talking about customer service, I was talking about the laws and regulations that went into what I did, who I would sell to, and what made my business platform what it was. The reason it was what it was, as much as marketing, using those video systems and those other pictures on Facebook and things like that to be able to market my system, to be able to recruit as many people into this people as much as a fair competitive market to anybody who thinks that they can do as good as me or better. I was fully organic, I was out there training them every day. Hell, my plants were Harvard grads damn near. I taught them all quantum physics. I could take any one of my plants and reference you the boson, 0 point energy, the photon, no matter, no mass. There's calculations that go into those variables that don't seem like they matter, but they absolutely do. So when and I've always had a lot of the mechanical experience, and I definitely put it in a lot of those videos about, hey, when you're working a CNC machine, when you're working a gantry saw, when you're working a small business model, when you're working a patent to be able to get an invention premise down or a mathematical statement base down for special relativity or whatever variable you want that to be. Any one of those aspects, your plants, the thing that you're growing, that skill, that developmental process that takes time and has many forces and resistances traveling against it, and essentially the circuitry of Ohm's law of voltages and how you parallel those systems. Well, it was a lot of what I talked about. It was for me, I brought in a lot of Sun Tzu. This is as much my army. You need to know about that corn garden over there, because otherwise, why would you have an army? You need to know about those little calculations on the other end. And I certainly tried to do those things. Again, it wasn't necessarily boy, I don't want to say too much. And well, I'm going to do it in the positive light here. Again, I always respect my local PD and things like that. It was the only reason I didn't is because, a few of the things that they said to me when they were arresting me. I know psychology, facial expressions, and things like that. And it's more that the system locked them into having to do some specific things and, have to lie to me in my face about a few things about, when you ask them the right kind of question, it's like, well, here's the business premise. We're all constitutionally obligated to take any variable in front of us that this is what science tells us. And this is, we use the sciences to value these kinds of voting programs and things like that, because I was working on the IMA vote using whether it be Facebook or designing a web page design. That's the same thing as designing a Higgs structure for your plant's design. That takes simple calculations and you add them in the correct Newtonian order about how you're going to process that information. That's one of the things that's going to make our country great. When we look at other countries that don't have those abilities or skills, look at our state that don't have those skills, and we need jobs, we need resources. This is not going to fill all of them, but it'll certainly fill in some of the niche for the people willing to take on those skills, just like any other job. How do you know that a carpenter really isn't cheating the IRS if they're not fully documenting everything? You don't. It's just a matter. Same thing here. So you have to be able to take all of those calculations and variables here, because it's a great war against these nations. We recruit into this. I was hopefully trying to recruit into the process. It takes revolutionists. And it's not that big of an idea for how big of the impact it can be sometimes. It's just this fight for me was what it was. Now, meanwhile, I'm standing where it is. Obviously, I didn't get the lawyer, my state appointed lawyer and very good guy, don't get me wrong. Did what he did for me. It could have been 5 years in prison. That's the law against me. So you look at the wall you're against, and you understand that that's a walled fortress. Just like growing it, you have to understand those calculations that go into this, and the force is always greater than resistance in Aristotle and common sense physics. So you have to take that in consideration. Meanwhile, all the resistance is equal all of the forces that make up the universe. So why isn't one resistance as great as the force itself? It's the reason any one common civilian can become a president, or can have an idea that no matter where they're positioned in that power, can check a senator, can check a president, and get their law out there. It's just not going to be at their hand. You need, by the written system, somebody else under that platform to be able to pick up on that idea, recruit into your system, and be able to do that. That's all that is. And again, with a lot of me, what I was doing was I had a lot of YouTubers and stuff like that. On a couple of my videos there, I had 1,000 or so views and things like that. And what I was doing a lot is, it's for me, when you work in a lot of those places, and you see a lot of those guys that, you're in Delhi County, right? All they talk about is drugs and everything like that. It gives you a catalyst. It gives you a medium to be able to teach botany, teach mathematics, teach psychology, teach general relativity, teach a lot of those other things. I'm a quantum physicist, so it didn't matter the medium to me. I was just using that one because I could do not only that with it, but I needed resources. I needed money and monetary systems. It was free for me to be able to grow that, essentially. Free water, I had the creek right there, free nutrients, whatever was in the fridge that was almost rotten or something like that when it comes to fruits and vegetables, and basic bare minimum cost on the other end of it. Sunlight's pretty much free. Other than it wants to kill you all the time, trying to radioactively, anyways. So it was going to save me money on the back end where I wasn't buying it anymore. It was going to make me money. It was going to, reference some of my managerial skills, my botany skills, my time systems, my consistency about where I am and what I'm doing all the time, which, now that I'm out of it, other than I'm just kind of sitting at home waiting for the phone call to ring about job opportunities, which really hasn't been happening this time of year for where I live. I could have been making money, or anyways, could have had a lot of things, but that's not how it all worked out. So, I'm here doing it like this. And again, I'm not going to let, something like 2 years of my life works, go down the shitter like that. I take a lot of pride in what I did, and I'll still stand on that for what it was. A lot of people have different points of views. Some people in the system, they'll care, but they don't care. Again, a lot of that's locked into what they do and how they do it, and I don't hold that against anybody. I look at that against your religion or whatever. I'm a quantum physicist. If you believe in Asalak Alaikum, well, Asalak Alaikum. I don't need to start a war with you. Catholicism, or if there's a Catholic and a Muslim in the room all together, what do you do as a general? Are you going to start that war? Are you going to find that symbiotic relationship between all of that state of existence that applies inside of that? That's what I do as an American. My constitutional obligation that I'm applied to look at every second, and you have to make every conversation you say wind up saying the same thing, because you don't have time to do them all. But in general, there's going to be a conversation that kind of seeds out everything. It's not going to apply when you start with marijuana, constitutional law, but you can kind of look at some of the things inside of that and see, well, here's what's happening. This is that case, this is that person, this is all of those skills and developmental aspects that you could look at and then make fair laws about, and fair systems when these people are all in this room and it's this region and all that other happy. But it's how I look at a lot of this. It goes into, again, much higher concepts that I was working on. I wasn't just doing it for simple reasons. If you're just doing it for one simple reason, the money, you're probably doing it very wrong. Again, some of my rules were, don't sell under anybody under 18, obviously. I might have been doing it younger than that, but it doesn't matter. It's sensible that, what you're doing with. To very close range friends, nothing over for me personally, I wasn't going to sell anything over than a quarter a week, quarter ounce a week. Yeah, that's something I smoke to somebody. If you want to go to somebody else and get you the rest of yours, that's fine. You can take the risk somewhere else, but I'm Dr. Green Thumb here. We don't play that in this nation. This is about the regimen because I needed it for my dream cycles and things like that, which have just been a nightmare for me lately. The last 3 months have just been a railroad every night. I don't sleep right and everything else. Not only that, it's just recreational as well. But I try to keep it under a gram a day, honestly, when I did. Um, but with that being said, it's different when you have your own free, and you can do that as long as you're maintaining that kind of system. Again, I've worked in some of the biggest meat grinders there are. For the region, as much as just meat grinders in general, physical carpentry, construction, heavy gantries and hauling stone and stuff like that, and wet, nasty, cold, dangerous. And I've always performed very well. I got all the digits to prove the calculations that I have here. With that being said, again, this is just a way for me to, yeah, if somebody wanted to look at that, you want to know what I was thinking, what I was doing under those concepts. Hey, like I said, you asked me in the interview, I'm not going to bullshit you. I didn't bullshit that probation officer or the person who set me up for probation when they come in to visit me in Delhi. 3 years is a long time, but I was going 3 month cycles. I mean, you want to know the truth, when I'm done, I'm probably going to go back to doing it. But between A to B, this is what the law says, and I respect the law. I respect, what it is. It's not necessarily that I'm the crazy maniac in this room, but I get that there's fucking maniacs out there. I was hoping to get it out there, keep them chilled out on their couch eating Cheetos. But hey, it is what it is. I don't necessarily like the pill model, or I don't drink, and I don't do any of those other things. That was for me, and I don't speed, I wear my seatbelt, but that's just the concept that you got to deal with, and that's where I'm at with it. So again, I'm going to make sure I get a positive out of it. It may not be all aspects of it, and people disagree or agree with it, but I'll tell you, I can take any how to smell stoner and turn them into a general. I can take a squirrel and turn them into a general, teach them general relativity, teach that squirrel, that thing with ADD, how to tap in. Or I could take you and explain general relativity or quantum physics using a squirrel. It really doesn't matter to me. And remember, this is a 3 month cycle here, 3 or 4 month cycle here. So you can't tell me. And I know those videos from reviewing them and a lot of things. The conversation really is the same, because I really didn't come into there all fucked up or anything like that. It's more of a nighttime kind of an activity to me when I would really go do it or something like that. But hey, there are kind of concepts to that. Again, back when I was doing it, buying it, it was definitely one of those things that put me under a lot of the times. You're buying it like that at 40 and 8th. That's going to put you in the poorhouse pretty quick. Another reason why I was growing it and teaching other people to grow it as well. Hopefully I was trying to save the system, making sure that they could bring some own, whether make it free for themselves and a decent quality so they didn't have to wander, go astray from the herd there, or how to make a little bit for themselves at a cheap, efficient cost to bring down the black market essentially. And as well, make sure that they had enough to get to work and buy Timmy a baseball glove for Christmas if that's what they were doing, or whatever version of the manufacturing system they were doing, whether it was efficiently referencing your spectrums of what kind of lights you're doing, your ranges, your growths, your heat temperatures, your thermodynamics, your physics, all of those variables that you could absolutely integrate into a skilled, questionable system. And I don't mean questionable, I mean like you could reference a question with it. Well, what's the thermodynamics of a system like that? Well, your region, the plant is this big, therefore the same light, it's going to increase the temperature in that thing, and it's going to make things, yeah, they're always there. Just got to be able to tap into them. Gauge the spark gap and get that engine rolling, because this is quantum mechanics, this is quantum physics, this is general relativity, special relativity, the Higgs boson, photons, all of those different things that really are going to make you a better person and a more well-rounded individual in society and how you do things. as much as improve your psychology. Know that state for you, somebody else is maybe dealing with it too. How to make them better. So, catch you on the next one.